Sometimes the worst betrayals come from the people who are supposed to protect you. This is Clara Wade. In 1873, when she was 16 years old, her father sold her to a debt collector named Marcus Dent for $500 to pay his gambling debts. Not metaphorically sold, actually sold. Handed over ownership papers Marcus Dent had drawn up, signed them, took the cash, watched as Dent put chains on his daughter's wrists, and loaded her into a wagon. Clara's father, Thomas Wade, owned the Silver Crown Saloon in Redemption, Colorado. It was the biggest, most profitable saloon in town. He loved that place more than anything in the world, including his daughter. After he sold Clara, Thomas went right back to gambling. Lost the Silver Crown 6 years later to a bad poker hand. Clara spent 12 years in hell, 12 years working her way back from nothing. By 1885, she had money, real money. And she bought the Silver Crown, paid cash, became the new owner. Then she hired her father as the janitor. $2 a week to sweep floors and clean spittoons. He had no idea who she was, but she was going to enjoy every single day of watching him suffer before she told him. The woman who stepped off the stage in Redemption called herself Mrs. Catherine Sterling. She was 28 years old, well-dressed, confident. She carried herself like money. The stage driver helped with her trunk. "First time in Redemption, ma'am?" "No, I was here once, long time ago." She walked to the bank, made her offer to buy the Silver Crown. $2,000 cash. Sale completed in 3 days. The banker, Mr. Garrett, was delighted. "Mr. Harrison will be thrilled. He's been trying to sell for 2 years. "I have one condition," Catherine said. "Of course. I understand Thomas Wade still lives in town, the man who used to own the saloon." Garrett's expression soured. "Tom Wade, yes, town drunk, does odd jobs. Why?" "I want to offer him employment, janitor position, $2 a week." "Ma'am, there are better men." "I'm aware, but I believe in second chances. Send him to me." 3 days later, Catherine owned the Silver Crown. Thomas Wade showed up Monday morning for his first day of work. Catherine watched from her office as he shuffled in, 52 years old, gaunt, unshaven, reeking of cheap whiskey. This was her father, the man who'd sold her for $500. The man who'd signed papers transferring ownership of his 16-year-old daughter to a debt collector. The man who'd watched Dent change her wrists and hadn't said a word. Catherine felt cold satisfaction. He was going to clean the floors of the saloon he used to own, and he was going to do it for her, and he wasn't going to know who she was. Not yet. For the first month, Catherine barely spoke to Thomas Wade. She'd come downstairs occasionally, inspect his work, nod, walk away. She watched him mop the floors where he used to walk as owner. Watched him clean the bar where he used to drink for free. Watched him empty spittoons and scrub vomit off the floorboards. The other employees treated him with polite contempt. "Mrs. Sterling wants the back poker room clean," the bartender would say. "She's got high-stakes players coming tonight." Tom would nod, take his mop and bucket to the room where he used to play poker and lose thousands of dollars. Clean it for the next generation of gamblers. One morning, Catherine called him to her office. Tom climbed the stairs, the same stairs he used to climb when this was his office. Knocked on the door that used to have his name on it. "Come in." He entered, Catherine sat behind the desk, his old desk. Mr. Wade, I'm hosting a private party Friday night. 15 guests. I need you to serve drinks. Tom blinked. Ma'am, I'm the janitor. You'll serve drinks Friday night. I'll pay you an extra $1. Can you do that? He needed the money. Yes, ma'am. Good. And Mr. Wade, shave, bathe, wear clean clothes. I won't have you serving my guests looking like a vagrant. Yes, ma'am. Friday night came. Tom showed up, clean-shaven, wearing his one decent shirt. The guests were all people he knew. The mayor, the banker, the owner of the general store. Men who used to be his peers when he owned this place. Now he served them drinks. Whiskey for Mayor Garrett, please, Catherine said. Tom poured, brought it over. The mayor looked up, recognized him. Tom Wade, haven't seen you in months. Evening, Mayor. You're working here now? Yes, sir, janitor. The mayor's expression was somewhere between pity and contempt. I see. Well, bring me another in 15 minutes. Yes, sir. Tom spent the evening serving drinks to men who used to shake his hand, who used to play poker at his tables, who now looked through him like he was furniture. Catherine watched it all with cold satisfaction. At the end of the night, as Tom was cleaning up glasses, she approached him. You did well tonight, Mr. Wade. Thank you, ma'am. It must be difficult, serving drinks to men who used to be your equals. Tom's jaw tightened. I'm grateful for the work, ma'am. Of course you are. Here's your $1. She handed him the coin. Same time next month, I'm hosting another party. Yes, ma'am. She walked away. Tom stared at the single $1 in his hand. Once, he'd made that much in an hour just from the bar profits. Now it was payment for a night of humiliation. The next month, Catherine had him do it again. Serve drink to Redemption's elite while they ignored him or pitied him. The month after that, she made it worse. Mr. Wade, I'm hosting a poker game tonight. High stakes. I need you to deal cards. Tom felt something crack inside. Ma'am, Is there a problem? This used to be my poker room. These used to be my tables. I'm aware. That's why I'm asking you to deal. You know the game better than anyone. I'll pay you $2 for the night. Tom dealt cards for 4 hours, watched men win and lose hundreds of dollars. Men sitting in chairs where he used to sit, playing in the room he used to own. And when the game was done, Catherine handed him $2 and told him to clean up. After 2 months, Catherine decided it was time to make him comfortable. She called him to her office. Mr. Wade, you've been reliable, punctual. I'm raising your pay to $3 a week. Tom's face showed genuine surprise. Ma'am, thank you. Don't thank me. You've earned it. You're a good worker. For the first time in years, Tom felt something like hope. Maybe this job could become something more. Maybe Mrs. Sterling saw potential in him. I appreciate the opportunity, ma'am. You're welcome. Now, there's something else. Ma'am? I'm hosting a special event next month. A grand reopening celebration. The whole town will be here. I'll need you to work that night. Extra pay, of course. Of course, ma'am. I'll be there. Catherine smiled slightly. I'm counting on it. Tom left feeling better than he had in months. $3 a week. Recognition for his work. Maybe, finally, things were turning around. Catherine watched him go. He had no idea what was coming. The grand reopening was in 4 weeks. That's when she'd tell him. That's when she'd make sure the entire town knew exactly what he'd done. And she wanted him comfortable first, wanted him to think he was safe, wanted him to think he'd found stability, so the fall would be that much harder. The Silver Crown's grand reopening was scheduled for the last Saturday in June. Catherine had spared no expense. Piano player from Denver, singer from San Francisco, free drinks for the first hour. The whole town was invited. By 7 o'clock, the saloon was packed. Every table full, standing room only. The mayor, the banker, the sheriff, every prominent citizen in Redemption. Thomas Wade had spent all day cleaning, making everything perfect. Mrs. Sterling had paid him an extra $5 for the preparation work. The most money he'd made at once in years. He stood near the bar in his clean shirt, ready to help serve if needed. Catherine stood at the top of the stairs in an emerald green dress, beautiful, commanding. She raised her hand for silence. The piano stopped. Conversations died. "Thank you all for coming tonight," she said. Her voice carried through the room. "When I bought the Silver Crown 3 months ago, I had a vision, a place where this community could gather, celebrate, build bonds." Applause. "But I also bought this saloon for a very personal reason, a reason I want to share with you tonight." The room went quiet. Catherine's eyes found Thomas Wade at the bar. "Mr. Wade, Thomas Wade, please come up here." Tom froze. Every eye turned to him. "Mr. Wade," Catherine repeated. "Now." He set down the glass he was holding, walked through the crowd, people stepping aside, climbed the stairs on shaking legs. Catherine gestured for him to stand beside her, facing the crowd. "Mr. Wade has been working for me for 3 months," she said. "As a janitor, sweeping floors, cleaning spittoons, serving drinks at my parties, dealing cards at my poker tables." Tom's face burned. Why was she doing this? "I hired him specifically," Catherine continued, "because I wanted him in this building. I wanted him to clean the floors he used to walk across as owner. I wanted him to serve drinks to men who used to be his peers. I wanted him to deal cards at tables where he used to gamble away thousands of dollars." The crowd shifted uncomfortably. "I wanted him to work here because I know Thomas Wade very well, better than anyone in this room. You see, 12 years ago, Thomas Wade had a family, a wife, a daughter." Tom's blood ran cold. His daughter's name was Clara, 16 years old, and Thomas Wade had a gambling problem, a serious one. He owed $500 to a debt collector named Marcus Dent, a very dangerous man who didn't like being owed money. Catherine's voice remained steady, cold. Thomas Wade couldn't pay, didn't have the cash, so Marcus Dent offered him a deal. Dent would forgive the debt in exchange for something of equal value. She turned to look directly at Tom. Thomas Wade signed papers, legal documents transferring ownership of his 16-year-old daughter to Marcus Dent. He sold his daughter for $500. The crowd gasped, shocked murmurs. Tom tried to speak. "No, that's not, Clara. What went to relatives?" "Is that the lie you told yourself?" Catherine's voice cut like a knife. "Clara didn't go to relatives, Father. Marcus Dent put chains on my wrists, loaded me into a wagon, and you stood there and watched. You took your $500 and went back inside this saloon, and you bought drinks for your friends." The room erupted. "Tom, is this true?" the mayor demanded. Tom couldn't breathe, couldn't speak. Catherine continued, her voice rising. "Marcus Dent sold me to a family in St. Louis. I worked as a servant for 3 years, 14-hour days. They beat me when I made mistakes, locked me in a closet at night. I was 16 years old, and I was property because my father signed papers saying I was worth $500. Clara, Tom's voice broke. My name is Catherine Sterling. Clara Wade died the day you sold her. She turned back to the crowd. Her voice was controlled now, powerful. When I was 19, I escaped, found work as a seamstress, spent 9 years working, saving, building a life from nothing. Every penny I earned, I saved, because I knew that someday I would have enough money to come back here. She gestured to the saloon. This building, the Silver Crown, the place my father loved more than his own daughter. I bought it. $2,000 cash. Every dollar earned through 9 years of work. Legal, complete. This saloon belongs to me now. She looked at Tom. And you, Thomas Wade, have spent 3 months working for the daughter you sold, mopping her floors, serving her guests, taking her money, $3 a week. Tom's legs gave out. He sank to his knees on the stairs. Catherine's voice didn't soften. I made you clean the bar where you used to drink for free. I made you deal cards at tables where you gambled away everything. I made you serve drinks to men who used to respect you. And you did it for $3 a week because you needed the money. She stepped closer, looked down at him, kneeling on the stairs. You asked me 2 weeks ago if I saw potential in you, if there might be a better position available. Do you remember? Tom nodded, tears streaming down his face. You wanted to know if you could work your way up, become a bartender maybe, make more money, have some respect again. Please. There is no better position. There is no respect. There is only this. You will continue to sweep floors in the building you used to own. You will continue to empty spittoons and clean up after drunks. You will continue to serve drinks to men who now know exactly what you are. She turned to the crowd. Thomas Wade sold his daughter for $500, and that daughter is now worth over $20,000. This saloon, this building, this business, all mine. All earned. All bought with money I made from nothing. The sheriff stepped forward. Tom, you need to leave. Now. People were shouting, Get out! Child killer! Monster! Tom tried to stand. His legs wouldn't work. 2 men grabbed him under the arms, hauled him to his feet, dragged him down the stairs. Catherine, please. Tom's voice was desperate. She looked down at him from the top of the stairs. Her expression was ice. Come back Monday morning, 6 a.m. The floors need mopping. If you're late, you're fired. They threw him out the door. Tom collapsed on the street outside. Inside, he could hear the piano starting again. Catherine's voice. Drinks are still free for another 30 minutes. Please enjoy yourselves. Laughter, conversation resuming. Tom sat in the dirt, listening to the celebration of his complete destruction, and knowing he'd be back Monday morning because he needed the $3 a week. She didn't just expose him, she made him comfortable first, made him think he was earning her respect, gave him a raise, made him hope things were getting better, and then she destroyed him in front of everyone. That's not just revenge, that's calculated psychological torture. She wanted the fall to hurt more, and it did. If you're still watching, you need to see what happens next, because Tom Wade has a choice now. He can run, leave town, start over somewhere people don't know what he did, or he can come back Monday morning and keep sweeping floors for the daughter he sold. The daughter who now owns everything he lost. If you want to know which choice he makes, and what Clara does to make the rest of his life a living hell, subscribe right now. Monday morning, 6 a.m. Catherine stood in her office, watching the door. At 5:55, Thomas Wade walked in. He looked like he'd aged 10 years in 2 days. Hollow eyes, shaking hands. He found the mop and bucket, started cleaning. Catherine came downstairs at 7. Mr. Wade? He looked up. Could barely meet her eyes. Yes, ma'am. The stairs need scrubbing. On your hands and knees. I want them spotless. Yes, ma'am. He got on his hands and knees, scrubbed the stairs. The same stairs he used to walk up as owner. Now he was on his knees cleaning them. Customers started arriving mid-morning. Word had spread. Everyone knew now. They stared at Tom, whispered. Some made comments loud enough for him to hear. That's the man who sold his daughter. Working for her now. Can you imagine? He deserves worse than this. Tom kept his head down, kept scrubbing. At noon, Catherine gave him a new task. Mr. Wade, I need you to polish all the brass fixtures in the saloon. The bar rail, the spittoons, the door handles. I want them shining. Yes, ma'am. He spent 4 hours polishing brass, the bar rail he used to lean against as owner, the spittoons he used to use. Every fixture a reminder of what he'd lost. That evening, a group of men came in for poker. Catherine had him deal. The men didn't speak to him except to tell him to deal faster. They talked around him like he wasn't there. Can you believe it? Sold his own daughter. For $500, that's nothing. And now she owns this place. Good for her. He deserves every bit of this. Tom dealt cards with shaking hands. At midnight, Catherine came to inspect his work. Mr. Wade, you missed a spot on the bar rail. Do it again. Yes, ma'am. He polished it again. Better. You can now go home. Be back at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Yes, ma'am. The next day was worse. Catherine had him clean out the storage room, where she kept old furniture and supplies. It was filthy. Mice droppings, cobwebs, dust an inch thick. I want everything cleaned, organized, inventoried. Should take you about 8 hours. Yes, ma'am. He worked alone in the dark storage room all day, breathing dust, moving heavy crates, his back screaming. At the end of the day, Catherine inspected. Not good enough. Do it again tomorrow. Ma'am, Do you have a problem, Mr. Wade? No, ma'am. He did it again the next day. By the end of the first week, Tom had lost another 10 pounds, could barely sleep. Every muscle ached. The town treated him like a leper. People crossed the street to avoid him. The boarding house evicted him. He found a room above the livery stable for 50 cents a week. A tiny space with a straw mattress and nothing else. Sunday was his only day off. He spent it lying on the straw mattress, trying to find the strength to face Monday. The second week, Catherine made it worse. She hosted another party, made him serve drinks again. But this time, she introduced him. Everyone, this is Thomas Wade, my janitor, and my father, the man who sold me for $500. He'll be serving you tonight. The guests stared at him with open contempt. Pour me a whiskey, one man said, and don't spill it. I wouldn't want to have to complain to your daughter. She might dock your pay. Laughter. Tom poured with shaking hands. All night the guests made comments, asked him questions designed to humiliate. Tom, did you spend the whole $500 or did you save some? What was the first thing you bought with your daughter's freedom? Do you think $500 was a fair price? Or could you have gotten more? Tom served drinks and said nothing. Catherine watched it all with cold satisfaction. The third week she added a new task. Mr. Wade, I'm redecorating my office. I need you to paint the walls. 2 coats. Perfect finish. The office that used to be his. He spent 3 days painting, standing in the room where he used to run his business, now painting walls for the daughter he'd sold. When he was done, Catherine inspected. You missed a spot. There. Do the whole wall again. Ma'am, that's... She looked at him. Do you want this job, Mr. Wade? Yes, ma'am. Then do the wall again. He did it again. The 4th week, Catherine called him to her office. He stood before her desk, exhausted, broken. Mr. Wade, how much do I pay you? $3 a week, ma'am. Do you know how much this saloon makes in a week? No, ma'am. $400 profit, on average, sometimes more. Tom said nothing. $400 a week, and I pay you $3. That means every week I make enough from this business to have bought and sold you 80 times over. She let that sink in. You sold me for $500. In the time you've worked for me, I've made $1,600 profit from the saloon, over 3 times what you sold me for. And you've made $12. Tom's face crumpled. Do you understand what that means, Mr. Wade? Yes, ma'am. Say it. I'm worth less to you than a month's profits. Less than a week's profits, but yes, you're worth very little to me, just like I was worth very little to you. She stood. Get back to work. The poker room needs cleaning. Yes, ma'am. Every single day, Clara makes him face exactly what he did. She doesn't just let him work quietly. She designs humiliations. She makes him serve people who mock him. She makes him clean his old office. She calculates the math of what he's worth versus what she's worth. This isn't mercy. This is justice. Measured, deliberate, unending. Six months passed. Thomas Wade was unrecognizable, gaunt, gray, moved like a man 20 years older. He showed up every morning at 6 a.m., did whatever Catherine told him to do, went home to his tiny room above the livery stable. The town had stopped talking about it. The scandal was old news. Tom sold his daughter. Now he works for her. That's just reality. Catherine expanded the business, bought the building next door, added a restaurant, hired more staff. Thomas Wade still swept the floors. One December evening, as Tom was finishing his shift, Catherine called him to her office. He climbed the stairs slowly, stood before her desk. Sit down, Mr. Wade. He sat, confused. Catherine studied him. You've worked for me for 9 months. Yes, ma'am. You've never missed a day, never been late. You do what you're told. Yes, ma'am. Why? I need the money. You can get work elsewhere. Leave town. Go somewhere where people don't know you. I deserve to be here. Catherine leaned back. Explain. This is my punishment. You're right about that. I sold you. I destroyed your life. Now I clean your floors. That's what I deserve. Is that guilt or just self-pity? I don't know anymore. Silence. Can I ask you something? Tom said quietly. Go ahead. Do you enjoy it making me suffer? Catherine considered the question. No, I don't enjoy it, but it's necessary. Why? Because you need to understand what you did. Not just know it intellectually. Understand it in your bones. Feel it every day. That's the only way you can even begin to comprehend what you took from me. I understand. No, you don't. Catherine's voice was hard. You understand you did a bad thing. You understand you hurt me. But you don't understand what it was like to be 16 years old and chained in a wagon. You don't understand what it was like to be beaten for spilling water. You don't understand what it was like to sleep in a closet and wonder if you'd live to see 17. Tom's face was wet with tears. So no, I don't enjoy making you suffer, but I need you to feel a fraction of what I felt. And even that isn't enough. What would be enough? Nothing. There is no enough. There's no punishment that equals what you did. This is just the best I can do. Tom nodded slowly. How long do you want me to work here? As long as you're able, as long as you can stand it. And then? Then you'll die, probably in poverty, probably alone. And I'll still be here, still successful, still winning. You've already won. Yes, but I want to make sure you know it, every single day until you die. Tom stood. Is there anything I can do? Anything at all that would make this better? Catherine looked at him for a long moment. No. Then I guess I'll see you tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Mr. Wade? He stopped at the door. Merry Christmas. I'm giving all employees a bonus. You'll get an extra $1 this week. Tom stared at her. Couldn't tell if she was being sincere or cruel. Thank you, ma'am. He left. Catherine sat alone in her office. $4 for Christmas. To the father who sold her for $500. The mathematics of revenge. Nine months of daily torture, 9 months of him showing up, taking every humiliation, accepting every cruel task. And she's not done. She'll never be done, because there's no endpoint to this. No moment where justice is served and it's over. He'll work for her until he physically can't anymore. And that's exactly what he deserves. 3 years later, the Silver Crown Saloon and Restaurant was the most successful business in 3 counties. Catherine Sterling owned 5 buildings on Main Street, employed 40 people, had investments in mines, railroads, and land. She'd become one of the wealthiest women in Colorado. Thomas Wade still swept her floors. He was 55 but looked 70. Could barely lift the mop bucket anymore. Moved in constant pain. One February morning, he didn't show up for work. The bartender found him in his room above the livery stable, unconscious, burning with fever. The doctor said pneumonia. Bad. Maybe a week to live. Someone sent word to Catherine. She came to see him that afternoon. Tom was barely conscious, burning up, struggling to breathe. Catherine stood beside the straw mattress in the filthy little room. This was her father, dying alone in poverty, just as she said he would. Tom's eyes opened, focused on her with difficulty. Clara? Catherine. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know. Please forgive me. Catherine looked at him. This broken, dying man. No. His face crumpled. But I'll pay for the doctor, she said. I'll pay for medicine. I'll pay for a better room at the boarding house where someone can care for you properly. Why? Because I want you to recover. I want you to get well enough to come back to work. Tom's eyes widened. I'm not done with you yet, Mr. Wade. You don't get to die and escape this. You're going to get better. And you're going to come back. And you're going to keep sweeping my floors until I decide you've had enough. She turned to leave. How long? Tom whispered. How long what? How long until you decide I've had enough? Catherine looked back at him. I don't know. Maybe never. She left. Tom recovered. Took 6 weeks. Catherine paid for everything. The doctor, the medicine, the room, the care. $300 total. When he was well enough, he came back to work. Catherine gave him his mop and bucket. Welcome back, Mr. Wade. The floors are filthy. Yes, ma'am. He went back to work. Thomas Wade worked at the Silver Crown for 7 more years. Swept floors until he was 62 years old, and his body finally gave out completely. When he died, alone in a charity hospital in 1895, Catherine Sterling was worth over $100,000. She didn't attend his funeral. She didn't send flowers. She didn't acknowledge his death at all. She just hired a new janitor and kept building her empire. The girl who'd been sold for $500 had become one of the wealthiest, most powerful people in Colorado. The man who'd sold her had died cleaning her floors. And that, Catherine thought as she reviewed her accounts in her office above the Silver Crown, was exactly how it should have ended. She closed the ledger, went downstairs to check on the evening rush. The saloon was packed, money flowing, people celebrating. Her father was dead. Her business was thriving. And she'd won. Completely. Absolutely. Forever.